Hi guys, welcome back to Passion for the Wild and Wonderful. I'm Chris Ashley. Today what I'm going to do is go over some of the herbicides that I use for the invasive work that I'm doing today. So today what I'm trying to battle is autumn olive, Multiflora Rose, maybe Barberry Bush, and with this I'm just simply using my backpack sprayer for foliar application. So with the autumn olive, here in another probably month or two, so come into July, August time frame, I'll be able to start going ahead and doing cut stump for autumn olive that's really tall and not really suitable for foliar application. But today what I'm doing is going through and really just trying to hit some of the undergrowth of upcoming autumn olive and some general Multiflora Rose, and if I see some other invasives I'll go ahead and hit them as well. But I'm generally trying to do something that's at least from head height and below so that it doesn't take a lot of herbicide. It also reduces the risk for me of getting it in my face or potentially inhaling it and getting it on my skin. And then later, come into July, August, September, I can come in and do a flush cut on the big autumn olive, and I can go ahead and apply an herbicide right to the top of that cut immediately, and that'll kill the plant. And that's a lot quicker and simpler than it is with the foliar. But instead of going around and hitting a ton of little autumn olive bushes here and there, I can go around with the foliar application and also hit some of those other bushes that are in there. So what I'm going to do is just go over really what I'm using for this invasive work today. I've got a 4-gallon backpack sprayer that you can get at some of your local stores such as Tractor Supply, Rural King, maybe Lowe's. And it's just a hand pump, hand wand, 4-gallon backpack sprayer. And then what I'm also using that was recommended from a friend is Vaseline as my herbicide. Now I'm using this, as I said, for the foliar application. I will not use it for my cut stump and flush cut. I'll use glyphosate, straight 41-42% straight glyphosate. But if I'm doing hack and squirt, here also come the July, August, September time frame on Tree of Heaven, I'll use straight Vaseline when I go ahead and do my hack and do my squirt to try to kill the Tree of Heaven. And I'll have another video going over hack and squirt. And I'll probably go ahead and do another one too on the cut stump. But what I'm looking at is I'm using the herbicide of Vaseline. I'm using Bark, which helps to get the herbicide to penetrate through that shell, that bark, that outer layer of the autumn olive and help get that herbicide to penetrate. And I'm also using a non-ionic surfactant that lets me help it stick, or help the herbicide stick to the leaves and also to the stem of the plant or bushes. And I'll tell you what I'm using is I'm using 4 gallons of water. This is straight tap water, let's say. You don't want to use water from a creek or from a stream or a pond, because some of these herbicides will become inactive when in contact with soil or sediment that's in that water. So I'm using tap water for the backpack sprayer. I'm using 8 ounces of the Vaseline. I'm using 2 ounces of the Bark, and I'm using 1 ounce of the non-ionic surfactant. Mix that all together and then I apply it. Now with it, when you apply it, you want to apply it liberally across it. Make sure all the leaves are wetted. You don't have to necessarily go to the point that they're dripping. That would be a little bit overkill or excess. But you want to make sure that you cover the entire plant well before moving on. And then for me at least, I try to make sure and do a grid pattern that helps me not just wander around and say, oh, there's a bush and oh, there's a bush. I want to try to make sure that I have a good cover across the area that I'm applying. And then I'll be honest, if I finish for the day and I've done X number of backpacks, maybe I do 4 or 5 backpack sprays a day and I don't know, 4 to 6 hours. What I'll do is if it's questionable of where I've been, the following week or weekend, what I do is come in, and at that point the leaves are already browning, turning up and dying and falling off, that it's clear for me to then see where I stopped, what I missed, and what I need to potentially hit again. So what I'm going to do next is I'll take you and show you the actual application and identification of, for example, the autumn olive. So this is an example here of an autumn olive that is perfect for me to do foliar application. As you can see, It's not a big, thick, heavy bush, so it's not going to take a lot of herbicide application. It's not over my head and big and bushy. It's reasonable, controllable, and you know, it's one of those too that when you look, the stem on this isn't any bigger than my pinky. So if I come through with a chainsaw and I'm wanting to do cut stump and herbicide application on it, it can easily be missed if I come through with a chainsaw. But with the herbicide, with the backpack sprayer, I can easily hit it. I'll see that it's dead here in another month or two when I come through, and if I want to go ahead and cut it and then still apply to make sure it's 100% dead, I can do that. But the autumn olive, you can look it up online. It's not the Russian autumn olive, but it has a very dark green leaf to it, and it has the tendency, when people see it in the wind blowing, it has like a gray or a silvery underside to it. That's pretty much a good giveaway that this is autumn olive. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just show you generally simple application. So one of the things I really like about this backpack sprayer is it gives me the freedom to be able to continue walking and spraying without having to stop, pump a small 1 or 2 gallon tank, or constantly refill it. With this here, it's a 4 gallon tank. I have a hand crank or hand pump right here that I'm able to pump up the pressure as I'm walking and spraying, and that lets me just keep right on moving. So this is something you can still use around your home and your garden or your flowers or anything you're applying, let's say weed killer. But for me, I use it for multiple things. I use it to treat the grass in my gravel driveway, maybe around my trim or anywhere where I'm normally edging. And then of course, I get to use it for all of my invasive applications. So what I'll do is go through now and just show you that I'm just going to do a fine spray, apply it liberally over it so that it's good, every leaf's wet, not necessarily to the point that it's dripping, and then that'll be good, and this will be a good kill. The other thing I want to note too is generally a lot of your autumn olive, it generally comes in and starts in open areas of where there's a lot of light. So that's some of the areas you can sometimes focus. So here where I am, a lot of this area used to be field, and it's grown up into some woods, but there's a lot of open patches of open light where it can get in. And that's what I'm really trying to battle here, is knocking down the autumn olive, letting more desirable come in, let the light hit the ground, get some forbs and grasses, other things growing that the deer would much rather have or prefer than this, that really chokes out everything around it and doesn't really serve for much habitat for the deer at all. So here we go. So what I'll do is just make sure I get my pressure built up. And then I just start at the top and work my way. Make sure every leaf is wet. Pay attention to the wind. You don't want to be standing downwind. You want to make sure everything you're doing is upwind so you don't have it. So it's that quick. And then all I do is just move through and continue going through, trying to spray anything that I see that's invasive. I'll maybe hit small briar patches that are there as well, because I'd rather replace Multiflora Rose with maybe blackberry bushes or raspberry bushes that will come in on their own and take their place. So I tell you, I hope that you found this helpful. If you did, please subscribe. Please like the channel, and I'll be bringing you some more content as we move further. One of the next, or some of the next upcoming videos I'll be doing for you is the cut stump application and the hack and squirt as part of this invasive work that I've been doing. Again, thanks and enjoy yourselves. I hope you have a wonderful time out in the outdoors.